Hey everyone, Austin here again with another Let's Play video, and today it's going to be Enduro Racer for the Sega Master System. It's been a while since I've done a Master System game. Told you guys I would try to do some soon, and so here we are. This is one that I never put a lot of time into back in the day, but fired it up recently thanks to fellow viewer Leo Ames, who actually suggested this, and yeah, managed to beat it actually as of today for the first time. I put in a bunch of runs earlier, finished it, and then subsequently went back and finished it about 4 or 5 times, and so I think we're pretty much ready to do a Let's Play of this game. Not a super complex game. For those of you guys that don't know, it is actually loosely based on a Sega Superscalar arcade game by the same name. Even the ending is the same, but the gameplay itself is actually quite different. This one actually takes place from an isometric viewpoint, whereas the arcade version is behind the back, third person, like Space Harrier, Afterburner, Outrun, and stuff like that. This is a fairly short game. It's only 10 stages long. Each stage is probably only a minute or two long. And the mechanics here aren't too terribly complex, but there are some very important things to keep in mind when you're playing this game. Otherwise, you're probably not going to finish it. There is actually one very particular trick that's mentioned in the manual that is not obvious in the game itself. And if you don't know that trick, you're probably going to fail at this game. But with that said, let's go ahead and hit our button here to jump into the game. And so you have two main functions. You've got accelerate and you've got brake. We pretty much never use the brake button. The other function that's really important that's mentioned in the manual is by doing a wheelie, by holding down on the D-pad. Now, if you tap lightly on the wheelie right before you hit a ramp here, you'll actually gain speed. And that is the key to success in this game, is constantly gaining speed off each ramp. Now, I am not going to gain speed on some because I'm not going to time my ramp wheelies correctly, and that's okay, as long as, you know, more often than not, I tap it at the right moments and get that speed boost. We will be good to go and finish the game. Like that right there was a slow boost, that was a slow boost as well, that was slow. Man, I'm just mistiming all of these right now. But yeah, getting your wheelies correct on the ramp is key. If you look at the bottom right hand portion of the screen, you'll notice that I'm going at 200 kilometers per hour. That's the max speed by default. Now there is an item you can buy that'll actually max your speed for one level, but we're not going to mess around with that. I'm not trying to speed run here. I'm not trying to break any world records or anything crazy like that. I'm just trying to show you how to get through the game consistently, and then from there you can try to buy power-ups and try to speed your way through the game. But speaking of power-ups, this is the shop right here. This pops up after every single level. We have 6 points. What I'm going to do is actually save my points, because if you look in the bottom right hand portion of the screen, you'll see there's a letter D, which stands for damage. And the higher your damage goes up, the higher your damage goes up, the faster your timer ticks down. And in the top left hand portion of the screen, you've got yourself a timer. And I'm doing really bad with these ramps right here. I think one of my problems is that I was actually practicing this game on the Mr. FPGA hardware, and I'm actually on an actual Sega Genesis right now, which is going through an upscaler, which adds a couple of frames of input lag, and so I probably should have done a practice run of this on actual hardware before doing this Let's Play, but I think we'll be fine overall. So interestingly, I actually had more success pressing down to do the wheelie and then pressing up, which is really odd. The manual says you don't have to push up after you do a wheelie, but I'm much more consistent with my boosts for some odd reason by doing that. The manual says just do a wheelie and then just let go of the D-pad. Basically let the D-pad go back to your neutral position. But I'm much more consistent if I hold down to do the wheelie and then press up right as I jump off that ramp to get that speed boost. So your time is actually carried over from level to level. So most levels will start you with 50 or 60 seconds or something like that. And whatever previous time you had will be added on top of that. So you notice that we started with 80 something seconds on this map. And we actually have 2 more courses after this, and then the game loops itself and gets harder. You'll notice that there are opponents on the courses. So we got little buggies on this one, and we have other, Enduro Racers on other courses. You do not want to touch those guys. If you touch them, you will blow up or crash over, and you lose significant time, and you also take damage. And remember that the more damage you have, the faster your time ticks down. Once you hit 99 on your damage counter, the time, according to the instruction manual, ticks down twice as fast as it normally would. So you've got to be really careful not to run into enemies, or opponents, I should say. They're not really enemies, they're not out to get you. Now you can run into objects on the road and you won't crash over, thankfully. You'll just lose significant speed, which is preferred to running into an opponent. Running into an opponent, you're probably going to lose 10 or 15 seconds on your clock. It's a lot of time that you lose. And again, we don't have any damage right now, and I don't really want to deal with any of these options here. So some of these will let you, like handle, I think lets you turn to the left and right faster. Suspension, I think suspension might be the one where you don't actually lose any speed off ramps. Engine actually boosts your top speed up to like 268 kilometers per hour, which is a big speed boost. Tire, I think, lets you go through, you know, like sand and things like that easier. Yeah, an accelerator lets you pick up speed faster. Item right here actually repairs your damage, and we're going to be using that later on in the game most likely, because I'm sure I'm going to run into someone over the course of this playthrough. Or land in some water, like on this level. So this is actually one of the trickier stages in the game. Actually, these next two stages are the trickiest stages in the game by far. But this one, you've got to watch out for the water. If you land in the water, you actually sink into it, and I think you actually end up losing more time to the water than you do slamming into an opponent. So you've really got to watch out for specific jumps on this one. So the infamous jump here is the one that goes to the left over water, kind of like bump and jump. Bump and jump does stuff like that, where you've got to clear water or land in it. And if you land in it, you know, you lose significant time, which is bad. You also don't want to touch the green area, because that's sort of like a marshy area, and you'll actually slow down when you touch it. So you kind of want to stay in this beige middle area, this main road. But yeah, the biggest point of contention on this course in particular is that particular jump where you have to go over water twice. So ideally you want to jump off a ramp, veer left, land on the other ramp, so you can hop over both parts of water, so you don't land in it and sink and lose a whole crap load of time. Now, funny thing that you can do in this game, I actually tested this on my previous run, is those barriers on the finish line, you can actually run into them and lose time. So make sure that you're not completely to the left or completely to the right as the exit appears. So this is the thinnest and most claustrophobic course right here. And so what I want to make sure I do is not land on an opponent, which is easier said than done on this one. Funny enough though, the opponents, depending on where they spawn, they can actually get into crash loops and make your life a lot easier. So there you go. Those last two guys just crashed. And so let me just try to veer away from this guy. So you notice that there are these little black pits next to some of the ramps, and those won't make you crash or anything. They'll just slow you down. And so again, it's preferable to land on those. And there we go, I just ran into a guy. Some damage, I got 14 points of damage, and we lost some time. But it's okay, we're probably close to the finish line here. We should be close to the end. But yeah, if you're gonna land on an enemy, it's actually preferable to just move out of the way, miss a ramp, and then go over the pothole or something like that, or a rock, whatever appears in your way, because you're not gonna crash over completely like I did by landing on that opponent. You're just gonna slow down, which will lose you some time, but it's far less time than crashing onto someone. And I only got 2 points for that, and that's probably because I crashed. So because items are still worth 10 points right now, they're going to actually double as of the next course. We're going to get some of our damage back. Now, how much damage you get back is dependent on the item. There's like 10 or 15 different items you can get, and the quality of the item determines how many damage points are knocked off. And we can see we got 99 seconds to start, and we got most of our damage back, so we're back in business. So how Enduro Racer works, it basically loops once after, you know, you go through the first 5 stages and then it loops for the next 5 stages. And then after that, you beat the game, you get an ending sequence, and then that's pretty much it. Interestingly, there is a Japanese version of this game, and it's got twice the amount of content. I'm gonna guess that in the North American version, they wanted to save cartridge space, which would have, you know, saved them money by using a lower ROM size. And so there's a significant amount of content chopped out for the North American release. Sometime on my channel, I'll be sure to show off the Japanese version. And thanks once again to Leo Ames for for one, getting me to play this game again, because it's a really fun game, but also telling me about the Japanese version. So we ended up playing both this version and the Japanese one over on Twitch, and it was really fun seeing the differences. Like on this first course here, in the Japanese one, you actually have barns and things like that. So not only are is the course variety chopped in half and the stage count chopped in half, but the existing stages that are in both versions are also cut back in the North American version. So you have less graphical assets on the stages that also appear in the Japanese one. So if you get a chance to play this game, I highly recommend playing the Japanese version because it's got double the content, and there's more visual content as well in the courses themselves. It's really, really cool. So if you do flashcards or emulation or something like that, you know, fire up the Japanese one and give it a shot. The North American one is still really fun. I still highly recommend this game if you're like a collector and you want to go out and get a real cart or something like that. Definitely try this out. It's a really fun game. But yeah, we're on the second course of Loop 2, and a point of contention on this course is you've got these sort of stone tablets in the middle of the playfield, or stone structures in the middle of the playfield. I don't know why I said tablets, but you can run into them, like right here, so I like to veer towards the left. Also, this sand seems to just slow you down randomly, which could be a little frustrating. So if you notice yourself slowing down, it's probably not your button, it's probably the sand on this stage, which could be a little irritating. So alright, moving on to stage 8, and we've got 53 points to work with. So what I'm going to do, my plan is to save my points for the final stage, and then just upgrade everything that I can, just to show you, you know, how fast you can get in this game. So I think probably one of the best strategies in the game is to probably upgrade your engine and acceleration. If you're trying to, you know, break records or something like that, or have some friendly score competition with friends and family. This is a really good game for that, actually, because of the upgrade options. There's a lot of flexibility in how you tackle each level. Unfortunately, your upgrades only last for one crash or one level. So they do not carry over from level to level, which I think is a missed opportunity in terms of, the whole score thing. But then again, if you played perfectly and got all the upgrades, then that would pretty much be the only way to beat existing high scores, is, upgrading fully. Whereas with how it's set up right now, where your upgrades are only temporary, it gives you a little more strategy on what item to buy on each level. So there is that. So that's stage 8, back to the water level, and same thing as before, we've got to watch out for those jumps and make sure that we don't land in the water or on top of an opponent. And again, I'm going to go ahead and just skip this. I don't want to do item right now because it's 20 points and I've only got 6 damage, so it's nothing crazy. Alright, so wish me luck here. Sometimes I do have bad runs and end up getting a game over, but I think we'll be fine. So as long as we're just paying attention here. Now, these ramps, the hitboxes on, I guess, your bike is, it's, I don't know if I'd call it large, but you can actually end up hitting some of these ramps without actually really touching them. You can, like, veer off to the right and you'll still land a jump, which is kind of nice. So we've got 2 bikes right here. You got to watch out for them, too, because they will turn left and right. They will turn right into you. Which could be really frustrating. So look at him, he's veering to the right. So I want to make sure that he doesn't slam right into me. And look at he just crashed over. So I'll take that. I love it when they crash over. It means that I don't have to worry about them running into me, which actually happens a lot. So we're actually towards the end of this course as well. Usually the course does the same loop, maybe like 3 times or so, and then you're pretty much at the exit. And look at this, we're on the final stage right now, so I'm going to go ahead and just boost everything I can. I might not even do damage, I might just try to go with the engine. Actually, I might be able to buy everything. Let's see. So let's definitely do acceleration, handling, tire, engine, suspension, and... okay, I took some damage. That's okay. And you'll notice I'm going to be going a lot faster, and the music's going to change. Now, my power-ups probably aren't going to last very long because I'm really fast and I'm very likely to just slam into an enemy like that. Just like so. But But it's okay, we just blitzed through that first loop of this level, so we probably should be fine to at least beat the game. I'm gonna get out of the way of that guy, and go ahead and just, you know, run over these things. I don't really care as long as I don't slam into an opponent. Alright, very sloppy so far, but sometimes, you know, you have to be sloppy because just look at these guys, they're just getting in my way. So hopefully they get into crash loops, and it looks like they are, thankfully. That's 3. Okay. That's also a jump. You can actually, or that's sort of a cliff edge. You can actually jump over that if you're fast enough. But you're really at the mercy of the opponents in this game on the second loop of the game, because basically the amount of opponents you have to defeat, or not really defeat, but pass, doubles. So you've got twice the opponents you have to worry about, and on that final course, it's just so thin, there's so many obstacles that you'll just find yourself just slamming into enemies left and right. But that was still, overall, it was a decent run. Not an amazing run, but, you know, it was still decent, considering we were able to finish the game. We got about 7.5 minutes, which isn't too bad. And, yeah. Funny enough, the game actually gives you a really motivating speech. For those of you that do competitive things, it's actually quite philosophical. I like it. There are a lot of endings like this in the arcade, but they're just filled with bad English and things like that. But this is actually decent. So, for those of you guys that need some motivation in your 8-bit Master System games, here you go. Enduro Racer is the one for you. But that's it, guys. That's Enduro Racer from start to finish, the North American version. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something. 'Cause I know a lot of you guys out there probably play Master System games, but probably haven't looked in the manuals in a long time. And I know Leo in particular, when he suggested this game, he was like, I always get stuck on the last course because I run out of time. And then he looked in the manual for me and found out that you have to do wheelies. And I think there's probably a lot of people out there that don't know that you can do that in this game, and it's an extremely important mechanic. So, for those of you guys that like to play this game, hopefully you learned something, and next time you play it, after at least a couple sessions, or maybe at most a couple sessions, you'll be able to beat the game. And beating this game is fun. You know, it makes you want to play it again, try to beat your previous best time, experiment more with the items shop and things like that. And yeah, fun game. Alrighty guys, well that's gonna do it for me. Thanks for watching. I know this was a short one, but I like short ones like this. They're easy to crank out. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I've got many Let's Plays like this and many, many more to come. For everyone already subbed, thank you for your continued support. And until the next one, take it easy.